Hey. Yeah, there's not much to say, let's just get into it. The episode will start with Courtney fully indulging in the luxuries of first class, looking more at ease than ever. She has a confessional sighing and smiling, saying the merge has been perfect so far. Back-to-back wins and 2 cheaters thrown out of a plane. They always say cheaters never win, but I wonder if they fly. Courtney giggles at her own joke, but soon breaks out into maniacal laughter as the confessional cuts abruptly to a later time. Courtney clarifies that even though she's feeling great, she still has a lot of work to do, and pulls out a chart similar to the one she made in All-Stars, but about the final people left here. First, she wants to eliminate Alejandro because she knows how dangerous he is, drawing him as a devil. Then Blaney and Sierra, as Courtney doesn't trust either of them, drawing them as airhead best friends. Tyler after that because she doesn't want to go to the end with him because his strong fingers scare her, drawing him with freakishly muscular fingers. And finally, she plans on taking Cody to the end, as she still thinks of him as the weakling she saw on their team and believes he's an easy person to beat at the end. Courtney walks over to Cody, who looks a bit down. Courtney tries to offer him chocolate, and Cody does look a bit excited, but recollects himself and slaps the chocolate out of her hand, saying he knows why she invited him here and she is sick in the head if she thinks he'll work with the person who got both of his friends eliminated. Courtney says Duncan and New Heather were hardly real friends, they just used him and Courtney did him a favor. Cody huffs and says he'll do himself a bigger favor and goes somewhere quiet, while walking away from Courtney. Courtney has another confessional showing a chart and that she has added a pacifier in Cody's mouth to signify him being a big baby. Blaney has a confessional saying her plan has been falling into place perfectly so far. Working with Nutty Buddy Fangirl has been so much easier than she thought. However, walking around with her outfit was almost a total deal breaker, which is why she gave Sierra a new makeover. Blaney walks into economy class and presents Sierra a new outfit. Sierra walks out wearing a red crop top with a V-cut, dark blue jeans, and her hair flowing freely. Alejandro and Tyler both clap for her, with Alejandro complimenting saying her outfit looks as vibrant as the sunset. Tyler also tries complimenting her, but not knowing how to eloquently describe clothes, he just points out how red it is, making Alejandro roll his eyes. Blaney raises an eyebrow at Tyler's bland comment, but adds off it saying it is red just like all of their clothes because Sierra is now one of them. Sierra is excited to be included, saying it's so fun to be invited to a group instead of stalking them from a distance and trying to insist you're laughing at different jokes. They all look at her worried for a bit, with Tyler raising a hand about to ask, but Alejandro pulls it down and shakes his head no. Blaney puts an arm around Sierra as she walks her next to the guys and starts to talk about who they will target next. They all in unison say Courtney, as Tyler and Sierra begin listing off the many reasons she has to go. Blaney also agrees, but Alejandro raises an eyebrow at the way she said it. Blaney has a confessional saying the best thing about working in the reality show field is lies come out of her mouth just as smooth as the truth. Alejandro has a confessional following Blaney's, looking troubled as he explains that he gets a shifty feeling from Blaney, and starts to recount that if she saw all of what he's done this season and still wanted to work with him, then he should keep a closer eye on her. The cast lands in Africa and competes in the first part, attempting to break gourds with cricket bats by hitting plums at them. I won't further expand on that. It's a toss-up between Alejandro and Courtney for who I think would break the gourd first. It could really be either of them, as Alejandro only got second originally due to Heather distracting him, but Heather isn't here to do that anymore. And Courtney is a very capable challenge threat, especially with this sporty type challenge, but also doesn't really matter which of these two gets the 6-ball advantage, and I'll explain why later. But for now, I just went with Courtney breaking her gourd first. Obviously, I think Alejandro will be able to break his gourd as he did in the original. Tyler is tough because he, sucks at physical stuff, but because he's a sporty jock and he's been more challenge-able this season, I think he could also break his gourd in time as well. Sierra failed to break her gourd originally, so she would most likely still fail. Cody is not the sporty type at all, so I don't think he could do it. And even though Blaney is shown physically strong at times, like her training in China for karate and sprinting, I don't imagine her training would consist of any sports, so she would also fail at breaking her gourd. Chris would give everyone their trink balls, of Courtney getting 6 for breaking her gourd first, Alejandro and Tyler getting 3 for breaking their gourd, and everyone else would give 1 and no slingshot. Tyler has a confessional, excited about being able to complete the challenge, as failing in China really hurt his ego, but he's feeling confident he can win today. Tyler pulls his slingshot back, excited to use it in action, but ends up snapping the elastic by pulling it back so hard with his fingers. Courtney has a confessional holding up her chart, getting the heebie-jeebies from watching Tyler do that, and says he might have to go a bit sooner. Because Blaney is still on the cast and she revealed that Ezekiel was living on the plane during her elimination, Chef wouldn't have known to look for him and Ezekiel wouldn't be here for the cast to hunt down in the challenge. But since they're in Africa, I figured that Chris would instead make the challenge be the first person to tranquilize a lion, as it's still very dangerous. The challenge would begin with Sierra considering going back to invite Cody with her, but Blaney pushes her away, telling her the fish isn't hooked yet, referring to the talk from the end of the last episode. Although Courtney would hold Cody back to suggest they travel together since they have a better chance at winning that way, Cody crosses his arms saying he'll manage without her. Courtney grabs him by the arm, insisting he's fresh lion bait without a slingshot, so put a sock in it and follow. Cody allows her to drag him, knowing she's ultimately right. The 4-person alliance runs ahead, and Blaney suggests they break into 2 pairs to cover more ground. Blaney is about to say she'll travel with Sierra, but Alejandro interjects before she can and suggests he travels with Blaney. Blaney is a bit surprised with Alejandro, as he elaborates saying he thinks it would be nice to switch it up, and if any two have the least risk of fighting a lion without a slingshot, Sierra and Tyler should be the two because they are both very strong. Blaney decides to agree, as does Tyler, and Sierra reluctantly goes along with it because she wants to stay a part of the group. Alejandro takes Blaney back the way they came, with Blaney asking if navigation skills are too much to keep in that pretty head of his. Alejandro insists they just have to take a quick detour before getting started, and his eyes light up when he sees Courtney and Cody. He walks up to them and says they should all look together since the more it's looking the better. Cody comments on the fact that he doesn't have a slingshot and passes while walking away. Courtney gets in Alejandro's face with a glare, telling him that choking on the tranq balls is a better use of his time than trying to work with her, and follows behind Cody. Blaney does a slow clap while sarcastically applauding Alejandro for wanting to get stepped on before they go. Alejandro grins while showing the tranq balls he stole from Courtney when she got near him, and says he prefers to do the stepping himself. Blaney smiles deviously, saying, "You're handsome and evil. Are you sure you've never been in the film industry?" And this is why I said earlier it doesn't matter who gets a 6-ball advantage, because Courtney got the 6-ball advantage and Alejandro just stole it, so if Alejandro also got it, doesn't matter, he would have got him anyway, so yeah. Tyler and Sierra are seen together, with Sierra looking through a backpack she brought to try and find something to create a slingshot out of. When she remembers, like the original, that she has an extra of Cody's elastic underwear, and asks Tyler if he wants to fix his slingshot with it as well. Tyler, repelled, puts his hands up and tells her he's good. Touching another man's underwear isn't on his bucket list for reality TV. Tyler notices Sierra is looking at the underwear upset and asks if she's alright. Sierra reveals what Blaney has been telling her to do with Cody about keeping her distance, but she misses him a lot and doesn't know if this is the right thing to be doing. Tyler says that he doesn't know everything, but being in a relationship himself, he knows that the right person is someone you can talk with and be around when you need to be. So if her and Cody are really right for each other, then they should talk with him about it, but she should turn down her intensity just a bit. Sierra smiles and agrees while bringing in Tyler for a quick hug, saying he's a good friend. Sierra finishes making her slingshot but realizes they only have 2 shots each if they split their tranq balls, so Sierra suggests they set up some target practice, and Tyler agrees. Cody and Courtney are walking together, with Courtney talking to Cody about the encounter they just had with Alejandro, insisting they vote him out next. Cody strokes his chin considering her words and says he's willing to forgive her for what she did to his friends and work an alliance together, but only if they vote out Blaney first. Courtney gasps, telling Cody he has no idea what he's doing, and Alejandro is the equivalent to 10 Blaney's. Cody says he knows that she was on a team with Alejandro, but Blaney has only been here for a couple days, and she could be just as dangerous and they wouldn't even expect it. Alejandro is the devil they all know, but Blaney is already proving to be slick and dangerous. This argument between the two continues until they stop in front of the area where Heather originally gets confronted by the lion. Because they were arguing, they weren't prepared and are terrified of the large beast. Cody nudges Courtney for her to shoot the lion, but as she reaches into her pouch, she realizes there are no tranq balls and Alejandro must have stole them. Cody groans, annoyed in disbelief that she doesn't have them, and Courtney, not wasting any time, runs away from the lion. Cody, not having much time, decides to also run away, but in the opposite direction of Courtney. Alejandro and Blaney are traveling together, with Alejandro opening about how they haven't had time to reconvene since their formation of an alliance at Niagara Falls, and he's curious what her angle is befriending Sierra. Blaney says that she just followed in his footsteps of taking advantage of a weak person's loyalty, and more numbers can only help them. Alejandro agrees, but recalls her wanting to eliminate Cody and mentions how having Sierra in her pocket for that isn't going to smooth over easy. Blaney has a confessional annoyed by Alejandro's questioning, as she's used to being the one grilling others instead of getting grilled herself. Truth is, she knows what will happen when Cody gets eliminated, which is why she is trying to get enough votes on him that she doesn't have to vote for him herself, and can pin the blame on everyone else to release a mentally unstable Sierra on. But none of that is on need-to-know basis for the Spanish Devil. Blaney tells Alejandro to not worry his handsome face about it, and she already knows exactly what she needs to do. Alejandro stops aiming and tries to turn around at Blaney, dismissing him, but like the original where Al and Duncan got distracted and walked into quicksand, the same would happen here with their conversation being cut short, as they panic while sinking. Sierra and Tyler are together with some empty cans set up like a shooting range for them to practice their shots with little rocks to get the hang of aiming. Sierra shoots at the cans and hits 2 out of the 3, impressing Tyler, as he attempts to toss a rock with her strong fingers, doing the same spin as he does on Island to throw the dodgeballs. Sierra, being a superfan, realizes what's about to happen and quickly crouches down, covering her head. The rock gets thrown the opposite direction of them, and Sierra is pleased, saying she really thought she was going to get hit in the face with that. But as she looks up after dusting herself off, she sees that Tyler hit a rhino instead, and it is looking at them angrily. Both Tyler and Sierra run off together, with them bumping into Courtney like Sierra originally did to Heather. Courtney starts to hyper-explain what happened with Cody, but stops herself from revealing it was a lion that they were scared of, since she doesn't want them to win the challenge, and instead calls it a gorilla. Tyler questions Courtney about why she ran since she has 6 tranq balls, and she explains that Alejandro stole them from her. Tyler dismisses her point, saying she must have misplaced them then. Sierra, realizing Cody went with Courtney, asks where he is, and Courtney says she dipped, and she supposes Cody is still back there. Sierra goes apeshit. Since Ezekiel isn't in this challenge, he wouldn't be here to help Alejandro and Blaney out of the quicksand like he originally did for Alejandro and Duncan. But since Cody ran off the other direction of Courtney, I'm going to say he runs into them here. They ask for his help, and Cody considers helping and ends up agreeing if he gets Alejandro's slingshot and the tranq balls he stole from Courtney. Blaney tries to deny that Al did such a thing, but Cody says he already heard it from Courtney, and if they want to drown in sand with those tranq balls, it's their choice. Alejandro is a bit annoyed but scared since they are sinking with no help in sight, and he's also impressed by the cutthroat play, so he tosses his slingshot to defeat of Cody and exactly 6 tranq balls at his feet. Cody smiles and helps Alejandro and Blaney out of the quicksand. He could do this a lot of ways as Cody is naturally crafty. I think it would be a nice callback to Island when he tried to save Trent and Lindsay by swinging on a vine, if he just now released a vine to reach Alejandro and Blaney instead of trying to swing on it now, showing like some humility and intelligence. I doubt there would be a vine here though, so you could just say he hold a long sturdy stick out for them to escape. It doesn't really matter, you get the point, he saves them. Sierra and Courtney are still arguing with Sierra extremely mad at Courtney for abandoning Cody. Tyler is trying to hold Sierra back to keep her calm as they just had to talk about learning to hold back her intensity. During this arguing, the same monkey that stole Cody would come out from the tree, and because Cody is no longer there, I think the monkey would try to steal something else. And that something else being the necklace around Sierra's neck. Sierra becomes upset and determined as she chases after the monkey. Tyler begins to follow, but Courtney pleads with Tyler saying that she needs at least one tranq ball to protect herself, and Tyler, still feeling a bit bad for Courtney of everything she's gone through about being cheated on and generally him just being a considerate person, he gives her one of his tranq balls and continues to follow Sierra. Originally when Sierra and Heather followed this monkey, they ran into Al and Duncan and both duos shot each other. But now that Alejandro and Blaney spent a lot more time in the quicksand negotiation and waiting for Cody to save them, I don't think they would be here yet. Speaking of Cody, Al, and Blaney, they would all walk together with Cody looking eager about being able to get the slingshot as he's testing it out. Blaney whispers into Alejandro's ear if he sees what she's talking about now. Alejandro agrees, saying he might have underestimated the tiny man and asks what she suggests they do. Blaney explains that Courtney isn't as big of a threat because everyone dislikes her, so they should vote out Cody today. Alejandro has a confessional, confused about why Blaney would want that since if they voted him out right now, Sierra would still be upset at all of them, but outside the confessional he decides to agree with her for the time, being curious about what she's planning with this. The trio would see rustling from some tall bushes, and Cody takes front position aiming with his slingshot. Courtney, being the rustling in the bush, also hears footsteps on the other side, leading to both of them rushing out and shooting tranq balls at each other at the same time, leading to both of them fainting. Alejandro and Blaney smirk at the scene, as they both steal the slingshots from their unconscious bodies, as well as Alejandro taking the 6 tranq balls from Cody again, making Courtney groan at the sight just before fully passing out. Sierra and Tyler come upon the monkeys with Sierra's necklace, like the original to Sierra finding Cody with the monkeys. Sierra is about to go full rage mode on the monkeys, but Tyler places a hand on her shoulder saying she should practice her words and being respectful to get what she wants, for later with Cody. Sierra collects herself and calmly approaches the monkeys, crouching down to the one of her necklace to be face level with it, and respectfully asks for her necklace back. The monkey holds it in his hand while looking at her to non-verbally ask if that's what she wants, and Sierra agrees, holding her hand out. The monkey instead throws it to another monkey, and they all play monkey in the middle with Sierra as she chases the continuously tossed necklace. Alejandro and Blaney walk as they laugh together about Cody and Courtney and getting their slingshots. Alejandro questions Blaney a bit more about the Cody vote, asking who else they need since Sierra won't be going along with the plan. Blaney says he just has to convince Tyler and she'll convince Courtney herself, which will be enough. Alejandro has a confessional counting on his fingers, confused why Blaney would want 4 votes on Cody, as obviously Cody and Sierra wouldn't vote together, meaning they only need 3. His eyes light up at that realization, knowing now that Blaney is trying to get enough votes on Cody so that she can act like she wasn't part of the vote to keep Sierra's loyalty, jeering at Blaney's clever trick. Sierra is exhausted, running on fumes, and very sweaty in the heat as she's still trying to politely take her necklace back. Tyler sees Sierra struggling and tries to help by offering the monkeys some of the bananas around them, and the monkeys look at him with annoyed looks. Tyler has a confessional with a worried look, saying bribing them with their own bananas wasn't his best move. The monkeys start throwing many bananas at Sierra, taunting her, which makes Sierra tired of this and breaks out of the pile of bananas she's been covered in. Tyler panics as he tries to insist for the monkeys to save themselves and give it back. The monkeys laugh, not taking the threat seriously, but before they can do anything else, Sierra brutalizes all of them except for the last one with the necklace, who graciously places it in her hand and runs away in terror. Given Tyler and Sierra were distracted with the monkeys, and Cody and Courtney are passed out, Blaney and Alejandro are the only real contenders to win this challenge. I don't see Alejandro betraying Blaney like he did Duncan, as there's not really a reason to, because he would still want her to trust him, and he doesn't need invincibility. It doesn't matter who wins between them, as neither are really in danger, but to stay in line of keeping Blaney's trust and Alejandro's plan of not wanting to win challenges to appear non-threatening, he would help Blaney win invincibility. After the challenge, Blaney would bring Courtney to a group meeting with Alejandro and Tyler about voting Cody out. Tyler is surprised by this decision, but goes along with it for now, as the other person he would want to push a vote out is Courtney, and Courtney is currently there, so he wouldn't mention that right now. Courtney doesn't like the idea of working with Alejandro as he was her target, but she's aware that she isn't in a great position after losing the challenge, so agrees to take out Cody to save herself. Alejandro bids the girls a goodbye while expressing gratitude and working with them. But as they get out of earshot, Alejandro tells Tyler to follow him as they have to go talk to Cody. Sierra has a confessional explaining that the challenge taught her today that if you feel strongly and passionate about doing something, then you have to step forward and do it instead of waiting for it to happen. Her love is real and Cody needs to hear it. Sierra approaches Cody exhausted from running around the plane looking for him. She confesses grief for making him upset about voting Gwen out, but her feelings for him are real and she can't keep avoiding him like this. She begs Cody for another chance to work together and shows she's changed. But Cody doesn't really buy it as he's heard it all before. He says he's glad that she can admit her mistake, but he still has a hard time trusting her after she went behind his back. Speaking of trust, he feels hers is poorly placed in Blaney. Sierra is still emotional from almost losing her necklace and talking with Cody again, so she can't bear the idea of going against Blaney, someone she truly views as a friend. So Sierra covers her ears and walks away, insistent that Blaney is good. Cody sighs as Sierra blanks him and walks away. Alejandro and Tyler approach Cody, and Cody asks defeated what they want, and Alejandro explains they have a proposal for him. For their vote, Blaney and Courtney vote Cody as part of their plan. Sierra votes Courtney as she's the only one who's not part of the 4-person alliance besides Cody, but just no. Also, Courtney left Cody in the challenge, so yeah. And the other 3 guys would vote for Courtney. They can't vote out Blaney because she won invincibility, and Cody wouldn't want to vote Sierra anyways. Alejandro wants Courtney gone as he knows she's targeting him, and with her gone instead of Cody, Blaney's plan falls apart. In a 3-2-1 vote, Courtney is eliminated. Courtney is in disbelief, as is Blaney, but Blaney tries to cover it up quickly to not let Sierra get suspicious. And Sierra doesn't get suspicious as she's excited about eliminating Courtney. Courtney stands up with a parachute as she looks back at the cast, and Alejandro blows her a kiss with a cheeky grin. Courtney stares at him annoyed and jumps out of the plane. Blaney definitely isn't taking Alejandro to first class. Tyler is too tired of Al to be worth the trouble, and Blaney knows that Cody doesn't trust her that much, so she would invite Sierra to first class with her to continue on that thread. Sierra is seen enjoying the candy basket that Alejandro originally gave to Cody, while Blaney walks up to Sierra. Sierra thanks Blaney for inviting her to first class while encouraging her to try the sweets. Blaney drapes Sierra's old outfit on top of her head while telling her to switch back and gawking at the idea of eating unhealthy food. Sierra views the outfit with confusion, asking Blaney why. Blaney explains the red outfit was a symbol of them joining the 4-person alliance with Alejandro and Tyler, but they are backing out now. Sierra asks what's wrong with them since she got closer to Tyler last time, but also because to Sierra their plan worked fine because they said they were going to vote out Courtney and Courtney got eliminated. Blaney makes the excuse that they did fine, but if they continue with that alliance then they'd have to get rid of Cody next as he's the only one not a part of the alliance, and she doesn't want to do that. Sierra agrees while tying her necklace back onto her neck. Blaney takes a seat next to Sierra as she adds on from talks of Cody saying she's done a great job of keeping distance, but seeing as they're about to flip on Alejandro, they could really use Cody, so it's important now for her to talk with him and rebuild their connection. Sierra mentions that she approached him yesterday and they are still in a bit of a slug. Blaney begins to scold Sierra for approaching him without her knowledge, but she stops herself before saying anything mean. Blaney tells Sierra that Cody might be a bit hesitant, but he does care for her and she just has to make it clear to him that she needs him right now, and he can't hold out on an answer anymore. Sierra is invigorated by Blaney's advice and agrees to talk with him today. Blaney excuses herself and takes a candy basket while making a poor excuse, and is seen scarfing all the candy like a wild animal in the confessional airplane bathroom. A drip repeatedly leaks on Tyler's head, making him groan and voice his annoyance of being in economy class all the time. Alejandro agrees, saying he can't remember the last time either of them were in first class. Tyler thinks about it for a second and gets a sad look, as he remembers the last time they were both in first class was when Noah was on Team Chris with them. Tyler begins to talk about how much he misses him, but Alejandro quickly redirects the conversation and says they shouldn't dwell on the past, and instead asks Cody if he can remind them what it's like since Cody was in first class last time. Cody is lost in thought as Alejandro asks him the question again, making Cody break from his distraction. Cody has a confessional explaining how all he can think about right now is how Blaney is undoubtedly poisoning Sierra's mind by themselves and worrying more about what happened yesterday with Sierra rejecting the idea of Blaney being a threat. Cody tells the guys a bit about how nice first class is, but takes a stance as he cares a lot more about the butts sitting in the first class seats right now than the seats themselves. Alejandro patronizingly pats Cody on the back and says he couldn't have said it better himself, and he hopes that with himself and Tyler following through yesterday on the Courtney vote, that Cody can place further trust in them to take out Blaney. Cody nods his head in agreement as the plane makes a rough landing. As the cast walks out for the challenge, Blaney is seen with an empty candy basket. She acts shocked that the candy is gone and says she got lost looking for the cargo hold to keep the candy for her loving fans back home. Sierra points out the chocolate on Blaney's face, and Blaney's eyes widen. The first part of the challenge begins, and Sierra joins Cody with the egg collecting. Cody is a bit hesitant to work so closely with her, but after he drops one of his eggs and breaks it, Sierra makes him a grass holder, and Cody agrees to travel with her. Alejandro and Tyler are at Lindsay's rock brain as Tyler kisses his hand and blows a kiss to her. Alejandro smirks, saying under his breath that the rock probably has less air in its head than the model. Tyler climbs up the head and pulls out 2 eggs in Alejandro's color and 1 in his own. As he gives Alejandro his 2 eggs, he begins juggling them. Blaney tries to travel with Alejandro and Tyler, clearly to keep them away from Cody, but Alejandro doesn't agree and works his way over to Cody and Sierra. Tyler is about to follow, but Blaney points out she has extra space in her basket, and unless Tyler can juggle like Al the Clown, then he should stick with her to have any chance of winning. Tyler sighs but agrees to come with. Sierra is irked by Alejandro coming to join them, as she needs to talk with Cody alone to obviously talk about turning on Alejandro and Tyler. Cody gets Sierra to be cordial with Alejandro, as she worries this is coming from her obsession with him, even having a confessional upset at her. Blaney kicks Bridget's statue head, angry about her getting eliminated so early and stealing her hosting spot. As she kicks her head, an egg in her color falls out of Bridget's nose, and Tyler leaps forward to catch the egg. Blaney is impressed, jumping down and complimenting Tyler. I see Tyler and Blaney getting all their eggs first, obviously just because there are less people, so less eggs, but also because of the fighting on Sierra's part, slowing that trio down. As Blaney and Tyler are walking up the tunnel, Blaney reiterates her praise for that athlete jump he made back there. Tyler's chest puffs up as he appreciates the respect, and Blaney jabs that she just wishes he would get the praise he deserves more often. Tyler, taking the bait, asks what she means by that, and she expands that Alejandro just always seems very content to pull him along when he needs him, but rarely seems to listen to you. Tyler seems shocked by that comment, attempting to justify, saying Alejandro is just trying to help teach him how to play, and Blaney responds that it looks like Alejandro just wants him to play for him. Tyler shakes his head, clearly acknowledging that Blaney is just trying to turn him against Alejandro because he flipped on her, and her lies won't work on him. Blaney places a hand on Tyler's shoulder, and insists that she saw what Alejandro said about him before she joined at the merge, and she wasn't sure, but now seeing it firsthand, she fully realizes how much Alejandro is playing him. She places her palm on Tyler's chest and tells him to stop listening to his heart and instead listen to his head, as she moves her hand to touch his head with one finger. Rumbles in the tunnel can be felt as Tyler remarks that his head is very loud at the moment, which is soon revealed to be the big boulder that Chris and Chef push down the tunnel. Neither have enough time to fully prepare for this as they both make it to the side of the tunnels, but some eggs slip out of the basket during the quick dodge, making them have to go back. The trio now has enough eggs and is seen walking in the tunnel. Cody and Sierra have some talk about it being nice to talk again, with Cody still having his walls up. Alejandro encourages the reunion and begins to talk strategy, but gets cut off by one of Sierra's eggs starting to hatch. I really don't know who the bird would attach to, since whoever who it originally attached to was holding the egg, but there's not a reason for anyone in this scene to hold the egg. There is a case for Sierra now since the egg would be hatching in her grass carrier, but Sierra isn't as crazy about the eggs being her and Cody's kids anymore since she's being more respectful of his boundaries and obviously she knows that's out of line now. And because there's no physical touch there, I rule more in favor of the bird attaching to whoever makes eye contact with it first, and because Cody is more at eye level of the bird, since he's short, and Alejandro would be preoccupied with juggling anyways, I think it's most likely that the bird attaches to Cody. Cody panics at the bird flying into his hair at first, as Sierra exclaims joy at the cuteness. Alejandro jokingly panics with Cody about the deadly baby bird. As Alejandro laughs at Cody, the rock can be heard rumbling down by Sierra, and she quickly pulls Cody to the side walls with herself, and because Alejandro is busy laughing and comboed with juggling his eggs, he definitely gets hit by the rock and loses his eggs. Cody feels bad for Alejandro, but explains they can't afford to go back with him and continue up the tunnel. Cody and Sierra pass Tyler and Blaney, who find Alejandro on the ground. Blaney snickers, saying, "You make a nice doormat." Tyler is more worried for him as he reaches down and helps pull Al back on his feet. Tyler throws one of Alejandro's arms around him as he carries him back down the tunnel. Blaney scowls at the scene as she begrudgingly follows. The three get to the bottom and begin looking through other contestants' rock heads for eggs. Blaney has a couple more snide comments to Tyler about Alejandro, but Tyler dismisses them. Blaney has a confessional saying she can still smell the male-dominated bro code from here, but whatever. If Tyler wants to sail a dying ship, then he's welcome to, because Sierra is now alone with Cody, so his vote is tightly in her pocket. The three get enough eggs to start going back up, and are quickly hurried by the massive Mama Condor coming down to attack them. Sierra, now fully alone with Cody, talks about how proud she is of him, and he's really becoming the big boy she knew he could be. She backtracks and apologizes when she sees Cody doesn't like being called a big boy. Sierra mentions Blaney's idea of working with her to vote out Alejandro, but Cody massively rejects the idea, insisting to Sierra once again that Blaney is using her. Sierra begins to defend her, telling Cody that she's her friend. Cody remarks that she seemed really excited to be her friend during her most vulnerable moment, restricting you from talking to anyone else. Cody agrees with Sierra's earlier point that he has grown a lot, but so has Sierra, and there's no way that she can't see that Blaney is doing exactly what Heather did to her at the beginning, to butter her up. Sierra silently processes what Cody said, but they are cut off by the other three running past them in terror, making Sierra and Cody follow behind and get out the top before Chris blocks off the Condor in the tunnel. Blaney, Alejandro, and Tyler ran past Cody and Sierra, but I don't know who would have passed first to win the reward for the first challenge. It doesn't really matter as the reward wouldn't be enough to give any of them the win, so I'll just give it to Tyler since he's an athlete and he'd probably be the fastest runner. There's no musical in this season, so no one would have to sing while scaling the bird tower to place their eggs, and I instead see Chris narrating the contestants' movements up the tower like National Geographic adjacent. And I don't see anyone winning this challenge besides Cody since he has the baby condor which the mama would focus on, so Cody wins invincibility. Onto the vote, and there's not that much to talk about. Alejandro, Cody, and Tyler are definitely voting Blaney. Tyler would be a bit wary of what Blaney said, but he's still much closer to Alejandro. Blaney votes Alejandro, and I do think Sierra would follow in this vote as she did absorb what Cody said, but she's still unsure if Blaney is actually that bad. So in a 3-2 vote, Blaney gets eliminated. Like the original when Blaney got voted out, Blaney blows up in offense as she begins revealing everyone's secrets, with the big difference here being proper scolding of Tyler for all the things Alejandro said, specifically noting the names Alejandro called Noah and his sour opinion of him, and Alejandro calling Tyler a deadweight. Tyler is insulted as he begins questioning Alejandro about this, to which he clearly denies. Blaney continues grilling Alejandro, however, calling him out for all the girls he manipulated and eliminated on Team Victory, making everyone gasp. Alejandro tries to egg on Chris to eliminate Blaney, but Chris says he's enjoying the fighting, which leads Blaney to calling Chris out for being the second option of host, and making Chris push Blaney out of the plane. Cody, Sierra, and Tyler all glare at Alejandro from the revelation of all the bad he's done. Alejandro tries to clear the air of Tyler again, but he pushes Alejandro's hand away, as Tyler is especially angered by the idea that Alejandro flirted with the girls to get them eliminated on Lindsay's team. Cody has a tough call to make here for who he would take to first class, but I think he leans Tyler as he just had a big bomb dropped on him, and he also voices displeasure of being out of first class for so long at the beginning of this episode. Tyler is in first class getting a massage with an enraged look on his face. Cody offers him some food, which Tyler eats while still looking serious and mad. Cody comments that a massage while being so stiff can't be feeling good. Tyler is strained, admits that it doesn't, and lets himself fall into it. He moves his head up to look at Cody, explaining he just couldn't stop thinking about Alejandro all night, and he kept hearing all the hidden insults he was dropping and the orders he gave him. Cody says he knows the feeling, as Team Amazon thought very little of him at first, and he felt like all he did was constantly get bossed around and undermined, which is why he invited Tyler up here, because he knows it sucks. Tyler smiles at feeling understood, and compliments Cody to where he is now being at the Final Four, and Cody returns a compliment to Tyler, saying neither of them made it very far last time. Cody raises a glass of orange juice for a toast to the Final Four. Tyler raises a glass of his own, and they clink them together. Alejandro is laying on his back as Sierra burns a glaring hole at him. Alejandro states that her staring is duly noted and not appreciated. Sierra crosses her arms, saying his face isn't appreciated. Alejandro smiles delighted, saying many would disagree. Sierra jumps up from her seat and gets in Alejandro's space, telling him that they were newcomers to this season, and he brought nothing but disrespect to this show. Alejandro rolls his eyes, saying everyone here has been manipulative. She could have asked her best friend Blaney since she was doing the same thing with her. Sierra is shocked and mumbles under her breath of Cody being right about her, but Sierra continues saying that no one else here has been playing like that, and Alejandro now stands up and turns around on Sierra, asking if she hasn't been manipulating Cody the same way, forcefully taking him under her wing, voting out all the people he considered friends, constantly ignoring his wishes to complete her own. You make a better manipulator than myself because you even have yourself fooled. Alejandro walks away while cheekily looking at Sierra. Alejandro has a confessional saying Blaney threw a fairly big wrench into his game, but a spiraling Sierra is a dangerous one, and it's just a matter of time before she blows up her game big enough that Cody will gladly join a vote with him against her. Before the challenge starts, Alejandro tries to speak with Tyler about what happened, but Tyler aggressively tells him to shove it in his male earring, making Alejandro furrow his eyebrows and tell Tyler his hours are numbered. Cody approaches Sierra, but she solemnly responds and creates distance, feeling bad about what Alejandro revealed she did to Cody, which makes Cody nervous. For the first part of the challenge, Cody would still make a shit dinosaur, Alejandro would make his detailed realistic dinosaur, Sierra would make the same variation of the broken heart glitter glue dinosaur, as now it's her own heart that breaks for the way she's been treating Cody. Tyler is a hard one to know. He certainly doesn't have a strong artistic vision, but I could see him making a dinosaur that's meant to resemble Lindsay, probably using the canvas Heather had originally to create a crude looking drawing of Lindsay's face, and attempting to dress the dinosaur in cloth to resemble Lindsay's crop top and skirt. For the honest voting of people being hooked up to a lie detector, Cody would still vote for Sierra as he's extremely touched that she remembered his birthday. Tyler is pretty close, as I think he would be impressed by the realistic dinosaur from Al, but since he lost Lindsay pretty early on, I think Sierra's broken heart dinosaur resonated with him more, so he'd vote that way. Alejandro is the same as the original, being very touched by Sierra's open display of emotion, and Sierra would vote for Tyler's dinosaur as she loved them as a couple, and really loved Sierra from her first season, even referencing how she attempted to try some of Lindsay's fashion tips to make more friends. This means that Sierra would get the drill for having the most votes, Tyler gets the pickaxe for having the second most, and Cody and Alejandro get nothing. Alejandro is seen digging the dirt with his hands, a grimace on his face, muttering about Sierra finally choosing to be normal and sweet, ruining his whole plan. Sierra and Cody travel together as Cody knows he has no chance of winning with bare hands, so decides to travel with Sierra to help her win instead. Cody again thanks Sierra for remembering his birthday and tells her she's been doing a lot better. Sierra wears a sad look on her face as she heard from Alejandro that Blanley was manipulating her and apologizes for not believing him. In fact, she apologizes for all the things she's done, and he has been kinder to her than she deserves. Cody places a finger to her lips, saying that's all in the past now, and he's just happy she found a way to be less obsessive over him, and she's a great friend. Sierra, while digging with her drill, pushes a little more, saying, "Just friends?" And Cody says, "Best friends," which delights Sierra as she hugs Cody and hits an oral barrel with her drill. Tyler is digging with his pickaxe as it slips out of his hand and hits the ground behind him, which starts leaking oil. Tyler gets excited, but like Heather in the original, a boulder launched from the sky wedges him in a hole. Alejandro walks up hearing the pleas of help from Tyler, and Tyler tells Alejandro to back off. Alejandro taunts, asking if he wants him to get an iced tea too, as he's being king of the hole with all the orders he's giving. Alejandro looks down and notices the oil, making Tyler tell him to find his own. Alejandro dislodges the pickaxe and starts digging the oil barrel up while ignoring Tyler and whistling to himself. As Alejandro begins to walk away with the barrel, he makes a final comment to Tyler about how Blanley was right, and Alejandro flirted with all the girls in Team Victory, and he does mean all of them. Tyler boils over, remembering when Alejandro was flirting with Lindsay, and knowing he was now manipulating her. Using his rage and strong fingers, he valiantly lifts a massive rock off of him, and lands it next to Alejandro, who jumps out of the way at the last second. Tyler and Alejandro begin tugging on the oil barrel, trying to take it from each other, but not too long after, Chris announces Sierra as the winner of the challenge, making Tyler stop pulling on the barrel, and the oil pour over Alejandro. The vote plays out similar to the original. Alejandro still has some oil stains on his clothes and is defeated, knowing he's going to be eliminated. Chris begins counting out the votes, but before he can finish, Sierra comes out with a birthday cake for Cody that has sprinklers, and the plane blows up, leading to Sierra being eliminated by Chris. Cody and Tyler are in shock, while Alejandro looks unpleased with his devilish smile. The aftermath begins with reintroducing the recently eliminated players, minus Sierra as she's trapped in Drumheller. I don't really know if Blanley would still be injured as she was originally from landing into a house in China, because it's unclear if that was a user error on the parachute or China specifically, but I lean more towards China specifically, so she's not injured in this aftermath, not that it really matters. Richard and Jeff would still analyze the remaining three, covering their strengths and weaknesses, saying the same things for Cody and Alejandro, and as for Tyler, they obviously mentioned his abnormal finger power as one of his strengths, and his clumsiness is one of his biggest weaknesses. I will quickly cover who I think the other contestants will vote for and who they want to win. Note though, Izzy is not seen in this aftermath, and Ezekiel is still on the plane, so obviously neither of them have a vote. Also, Jeff and Midget being hosts don't vote. Harold is a tough one between Cody and Tyler, as he didn't have a personal close relationship with either of them, and he worked with Cody in the original because he was the quote last good guy, but Tyler wasn't necessarily a bad guy this season. I still do think he leans Cody just because Tyler has done some iffy stuff just working with Alejandro, so I think he'd be more in line of wanting Cody, someone who's been honorable the entire time, to win. Lashana is kind of in the same boat because she doesn't really know Cody or Tyler all that well, but I decided that she would lean more Tyler because it's mentioned in the action special leading into World Tour that Lashana and Tyler ran on reality shows together, and Tyler did not do very well in those reality shows, so I think Lashana would be proud of Tyler for his growth, and also she just has a closer connection to Tyler because of that. Meanwhile, I don't think her and Cody have had any scenes together. Lindsay obviously goes Tyler. DJ kind of tough, but he never really talked to Cody, and I do think he'd be proud of Tyler because he's also been somebody who's had to learn to stand up and be more confident in himself, so I think he'd respect Tyler more for that. Owen I think would still be iffy by the things Tyler has done, but Noah definitely is going Tyler because he's forgiven him at this point, and if Noah swings Tyler, then Owen would definitely be willing to forgive him for the things he did. Heather, obviously Alejandro. Gwen and Duncan are obviously Cody. Courtney I originally thought would lean Cody because she would be impressed by Cody succeeding where she had undermined him, but considering that Duncan and Gwen are voting Cody, and Courtney really hates them and she wouldn't want to align herself with them, I think she would then lean Tyler. Blatantly, however, similar for the reasons I just listed for Courtney, that she would respect Cody for actually being able to pull it through, would vote Cody. As for the contestants that didn't compete on this season, we'll still shortly go over them. Cody would get Trent from their connection in Island where he helped Trent out with Gwen. He would get Beth because Beth and him kind of had a scene in Island and Beth doesn't really know Tyler that well, and she obviously wouldn't like Alejandro. Tyler I actually see being able to get Eva because I think Eva would respect him also being an athletic jock, even though he's kind of clumsy. He has still shown feats of strength which Eva would respect. Unlike the original, Katie and Sadie voted Alejandro, and I don't really see a reason why that would switch, so Alejandro would still get Katie and Sadie. Now the one I struggled the most with is Justin. I literally don't know if he ever talks to either Cody or Tyler, and I wouldn't vote Alejandro because I don't think he would like the idea of another pretty boy coming onto the show doing what he failed to do. But Tyler voted Cody originally, so I decided to stick with that because I don't know why Tyler would be a much bigger influence or interesting prospect to Justin. For the volunteers of each finalist, obviously Heather would volunteer for Alejandro. Lindsay would volunteer for Tyler. Cody is a toss-up between Harold, Gwen, and Duncan. I do feel that in this world, Harold wouldn't be as insistent as volunteering, since he mostly did that because he really wanted Cody, the good guy, to win. That's not as true anymore of Tyler. And Gwen would be super appreciative of everything Cody's done for her, so she would volunteer for him. Heather choosing an animal to represent Alejandro would still lean a panther like Courtney, as it's the most dangerous and slick looking animal to choose from, and Heather can now acknowledge out of the game that Alejandro is playing the most dangerous and stealthy game of the entire season. Lindsay choosing for Tyler honestly feels most likely is the dolphin, since Lindsay would call it cute like Tyler, and I don't see her brain going anywhere else of like thinking Tyler's threatening. She just think he's cute, dolphin cute, end of discussion. Gwen choosing for Cody would choose the raccoon for its like scrappy look to represent Cody's clever, crafty thinking. Heather would be scared when it's revealed she has to place a flower necklace over her jaguar, but Lindsay just raises her hand, making sure they can still slip into their bathing suits for the challenge, and when Bridget and Jeff agree, she claps excitedly. There's no singing required for the waterfall riding section now because it's not a musical season, but because they're in Hawaii and there's like kumbaya, tropical feels, I think they could still be forced to sing for the challenge. Not that it really matters if they don't anyway, it's just a nice way for the challenge to be represented. Gwen and Heather challenge for the lead, sparking their old rivalry, as Lindsay does alright, but is a bit behind because of the fear of riding down a waterfall is catching up to her. Because Gwen and Heather are ahead, they will fly off the waterfall before Lindsay. Gwen would land next to a raccoon and start to calmly place it over the raccoon as she talks sweetly to it, but the raccoon begins scratching her, keeping her occupied. Courtney originally got very lucky with her landing to conveniently place a flower necklace, and I don't think Heather could have that same luck, but she is very capable and really wants to win this advantage for Alejandro. So Heather, being lighter and more determined than Courtney in this situation, would fly a bit higher and position her fall to land on top of the jaguar, making for an easy placement around its neck. Lindsay loses control of the surfboard in the air, as I imagine she would have insisted on wearing her high heel boots during this. As we know in action, she has big feet she likes to cover up. Kind of ridiculous, as I'm pretty sure she's barefoot multiple times in Island, but whatever, I'm trying to keep continuity from that dumb scene in action. Anyways, this means she wouldn't be able to balance on the surfboard as well, because she's also naturally just clumsy, and falls off it, making a perfect belly flop onto the water. Heather snickers, with the rest of the cast grimacing at the deafening sound, as Gwen finally is able to get her flower necklace on the raccoon after many scratches. This means that Heather wins a wearable for Alejandro, Gwen the baby stroller for Cody, and Lindsay the nothing for Tyler. The episode would still begin with Cody carrying Sierra out of the rumble from the plane explosion. I think Tyler would take Heather's place of getting Sierra feather headwear and wheelchair, since she and Tyler got remotely close with each other. Chris would still find the emergency helicopter and ride with Chef while announcing the challenge for the final three to travel to Hawaii, by any means. Alejandro approaches Tyler, asking if he would like to put their troubles behind themselves, to work against Cody since he has Sierra. Tyler chuckles at the thought and stares down Alejandro, saying he's lucky to even still be here after the vote yesterday. Alejandro responds that his luck yesterday is a dust speck compared to what Tyler's had this season. He would have been a dying fish flopping on land if it wasn't for Alejandro helping him out. Tyler looks at the ground thinking about his words for a second, before refreshing himself, telling Al a race like this was made for a jumpsuit, not a woman's high heel height and boots, as he jogs ahead. Alejandro continues to taunt Tyler through the walkie-talkie, making Tyler turn his walkie-talkie off to stop hearing from it. Alejandro smirks as Tyler states he's turning it off, and has a confessional laughing that Tyler truly believes he can sprint all the way to Hawaii. Alejandro is seen then riding in the back of the production truck. Cody would still stick back at the plane to look for something to make, and with Sierra still there, Cody would get the idea to build a hot air balloon. Tyler quickly gets winded and sweaty from his run, as he starts to slow down from exhaustion and trips over some train tracks. And like Heather, he gets the idea to ride the train. Alejandro would still be kissed by the Yeti in the production truck and fall backwards into a sealed box. Cody would finish creating the hot air balloon and still need a chair, but now he wouldn't even consider leaving Sierra behind, as they are better friends in this universe. And Cody, with some shame, would sit in Sierra's lap while working the hot air balloon. The contents of the production truck would still be poured onto the train, as Alejandro frees himself and finds feral Ezekiel in the box again, and frees him. While explaining Ezekiel to a train officer, Alejandro and Tyler notice each other, leading to Alejandro letting Zeke free as he chases down Tyler. Tyler would still go on top of the train carriages like Heather, and Alejandro tried to disattach the last cart he's on, but Tyler is able to make the jump onto the same carriage. With no forced singing, the Alejandro and Tyler fight would happen a bit differently from the original, as I obviously don't see the two dancing together, because there's no song, and also because I don't even want to hear a comment talking about the time to repay back the favor video. I probably shouldn't have even mentioned it. When Alejandro follows Tyler on top of the carriage, they break out into a fight of grappling. Tyler has the initial advantage because of his wrestling experience, but Alejandro uses the hail on the ground to throw it at Tyler's face and kick him off the back of the train. Tyler uses his strong fingers to grab onto the bottom of the train and crawls underneath it like Heather. He trips Alejandro while jumping to the next cart. Tyler taunts Alejandro for the faceplant, saying he wouldn't have felt that at all with the times he's gotten hurt. Alejandro, agitated, responds that isn't the brag he thinks it is. Tyler pounces, putting Alejandro in a headlock, but Alejandro, again using the hail, pushes on the back of Tyler, making Tyler slide across the floor because his gym shoes don't have good traction on wet surfaces, like we saw in the sled racing challenge. Tyler slides the length of the whole top of the cart and lands back first on the ground of the train floor. Tyler groans in pain while squeaking out "hardly felt it" in a high-pitched pained voice. He recovers standing while cracking his back to see feral Zeke standing in front of him. I doubt that Cody and Sierra would crash into the power lines anymore, since they originally did that because they were distracted singing, but they wouldn't be singing anymore. However, it doesn't really change anything if they hit the power lines, because they get back in it using the fireworks anyways, so just for sake of giving them more to do, they would still hit the power lines and the balloon would be destroyed. I don't think Cody would so easily quit as he did in the original, since he's much more driven in this world, but I do think he would be a bit hysterical as it seems that all hope is lost, so he runs over to the parachute trying to repair it however he can, which is not much as it's completely destroyed. Alejandro comes back down from the top of the train to hear Tyler's screams as he's running from Ezekiel, making Alejandro pleased as he takes a seat in the train reading from a newspaper. Sierra would still notice the fireworks store and go over there to bargain for her necklace, which she reveals to have a picture of Cody inside. Cody would have noticed Sierra going over to the fireworks store and follows her. He is extremely touched by the photo of him that she carries, and like the original, the vendor is a fan of Cody's, so he gives the duo a box of fireworks. Tyler, like Heather, would find a snack cart and starts throwing all the items he can at Ezekiel. Eventually he runs out and Ezekiel pounces on him, but unlike the original, I feel like Tyler can overpower him here. Ezekiel does have a feral, crazed power, but he's logically also very starved and malnutritioned, so I'm pretty sure Tyler, with the wrestling background and mostly his inhumane, extremely strong fingers, can overpower Ezekiel and throw him off the train cart, mind you, with a lot of struggle. Sierra reveals her plan to Cody to attach fireworks to the back of her chair, and Cody meets the plan with much defiance as it's completely crazy. But Sierra gives him an impassioned speech like the original, and Cody decides to go along with it with no better option. The train would come to a stop as Tyler has a scene of blocking the train door with various items, making Alejandro bang on the door, as Tyler runs ahead out of the train cart. But Alejandro isn't slowed by this much as he jumps out from the connection of the carts. We saw that in the original, the horses were actually faster than the train, as Alejandro was able to catch up to the train with them, but I don't think Tyler or Alejandro loses much time here, as they just wouldn't have the scene of them landing on each other and having a slightly flirty moment to slow them down, like Heather and Alejandro did. Cody and Sierra would also probably get to the boat first, but Tyler and Alejandro would be right behind. The end of the challenge plays out the same as the original. Tyler would get to the shore first. Cody swordfish fights Alejandro and makes him run into an ocean mine, where Alejandro flies from the sky to T-bone Cody's boat, leading to a tie. The episode would begin with the two tied people, Cody and Alejandro, having confessionals about being so close to the final two. Cody starts his confessional excited to be making it so far, but does show Roy at the thought of facing Alejandro all alone. Alejandro has his confessional devastated at the ridicule he knows he will face from Jose when he gets back home for tying with Cody and letting Tyler get first. He swears that Cody's defeat will be quick and painful. Tyler would get the same choice as Heather originally to choose the tiebreaker himself or let Cody or Alejandro choose. Tyler would decide to choose himself and go into the golf ball booth where Alejandro chuckles at the pain inflicted on Tyler. It's very unlikely that with all the golf balls with different tiebreakers in the booth that Tyler would get the exact same one as Heather, but because there's no way of knowing what another tiebreaker could possibly be, we're just going to say that Tyler chose the same one. I don't see Tyler doing the same thing as Heather sabotaging Cody, since he wouldn't be that cutthroat. Also, him and Cody would be pretty evenly matched in a popularity vote, or at least Tyler wouldn't be like completely worried as Heather was about it. I do see Tyler instead trying to sabotage Alejandro by loudly jeering at Heather wearing a swimsuit too tight for TV. Alejandro looks over and Cody will be able to knock the hitting stick out of his hand, but even with that advantage, I still think Alejandro wins the duel as, come on, Alejandro is significantly stronger than Cody, and I could easily see him grabbing the stick from Cody and pushing it into Cody's gut to get the advantage and eliminate Cody. Chris would announce the helpers part in the next part of the finale, as Lindsay tells Tyler she adores him, but she really doesn't want to volunteer for him again as the redness from her belly flop just cleared off this morning. Tyler smiles at her while telling her she's fine, and he had some other people in mind. Tyler asks Lashana to join him as they have a working relationship from their time together in reality TV before World Tour that I mentioned earlier, and more importantly, he knows she's strong and hates Alejandro. I also think he would like the idea of one of the girls that Alejandro manipulated coming back to help him beat Al. Lashana agrees and stands next to Tyler, high-fiving him. Next, Tyler says it would be nice to have the help from a gold Olympian, asking Owen to join him. Owen is wary as he doesn't want Alejandro to lose, but he and Tyler weren't really close and he contributed to his vote out. But Noah encourages Owen to squash the eel. Owen thinks about it and whispers to Noah, who tells Tyler confused that Owen agrees if Tyler buys him more chocolate to fill his gold medal with if he wins. Tyler agrees to the terms as Owen joins Tyler's helpers, and Tyler gives Noah a thumbs up for the assist. Now, Alejandro's helpers go a fair bit differently. Heather obviously volunteers, to which the likes of Courtney gags and judges her for the puppy dog love towards him, to which Heather denies and explains that Alejandro played the best game of anyone here. That's all dandy, but I struggle to find anybody else who would join Alejandro as a helper. Harold obviously not, because Alejandro is the reason he got eliminated. Bridgerica's the same thing, no. Lindsay's definitely on Tyler's side. Tyler's was eliminated by Alejandro. Noah was eliminated by Alejandro. Gwen and Duncan don't like Alejandro. Courtney is still mad at Alejandro for flirting with her when he was actually interested in Heather. Blaney is, I think, about as close as Alejandro could get, but even then I still think she's so firmly cemented against him because of him flipping on her. It's possible that she respects the game and wants Alejandro to win more than Tyler because he actually played the game and Tyler just kind of flirted to the end. But one, I don't think Blaney really cares about the show that much to want an honorable winner at the end. And also Blaney's just really petty and self-absorbed. Even if she did care for the game, I don't think she'd be able to push those feelings aside that she is eliminated because of Alejandro and work for him. Especially because it's a finale and it's total drama. It's bound to be dangerous, and she would want absolutely no part in that. Cody just got knocked into shark-infested water by Alejandro, and Sierra wouldn't do that for the same reason. So Alejandro has literally nobody who competed on this season who I could see joining him, which means I now had to consider people who aren't from this season who would maybe work for Alejandro, and the only people that I consider joining him is Katie or Sadie. As we see in the original, they both did support Alejandro in the aftermath, even after everything he did, which seems a little crazy to me because they saw all the shit he's done, but they were there in support of him, and Alejandro has been a bit worse in this universe, but not by much, so I don't think either of them would be swayed away from him yet. I don't think either would actively volunteer to work for him, but I could see Alejandro singling one of them out, asking if a pretty lady like themselves could help him out, and him being an attractive guy and them being preppy boy-crazy girls would agree. I don't care as to which helps Alejandro out because they are copy and paste of each other, but because Katie had less screen time on Island, we can say that Alejandro did it to Katie, and Katie joins Alejandro as his second helper. There's no forced singing, so we wouldn't get the cool visual song of two finalists throwing lightning strikes to their helpers, which is fine because that really works a lot better for Heather and Alejandro than Tyler and Alejandro. So to make this first part of the finalists creating effigies of each other a little bit more interesting, and because I treat these what ifs a lot more like rewrites when we get to the finale to make things more interesting, I think that the helpers would be blindfolded, so that way the finalists are actually much more crucial in giving out orders from the mat. This would probably be cut up into a compilation of Tyler and Alejandro giving out orders to their helpers, with mini scenes like Owen trying to eat a pineapple whole, Lashana hitting his back to make him spit it out, Katie waving with a pineapple in her hand back to Alejandro as if to confirm that that's the right thing in her hand, while Heather carrying a log accidentally hits Katie in the back of the head. The compilation would end with Lashana being seen in front of Alejandro's sacrifice, writing into it as she turns it around and shows she carved a dirt bag into the pineapple's face with her nails. Speaking of which, I am pretty sure Tyler's helpers would finish first, as I think Katie would be pretty useless in this challenge, and with the strength and size of Owen and Lashana, they could easily carry all the wood and supplies they need in a couple runs. They do have to make a bigger Alejandro sacrifice, but to be fair, it's not that much bigger as him and Tyler are around the same height, similar build, so I think they can manage it. Tyler is pumped about winning the first part, as Chris explains the next part of the challenge, and reveals that his helper in the aftermath didn't win him anything to assist him in carrying a sacrifice up the volcano. Lindsay can be heard off screen apologizing for it, as Heather smugly tells Alejandro he should be thankful for her work, and Alejandro places a finger under her chin, saying it's very appreciated. Tyler gets the 20-second head start for winning the effigy challenge, and because of his strength, he doesn't struggle too much in carrying it. Alejandro goes shortly after and catches up to Tyler, asking him what's it's like to carry Alejandro, as he already knows what it's like to carry Tyler, as he's been doing it the whole game. Tyler says they aren't quite comparable since the wood he's carrying has more soul than him. Both are cut off by the stop in the path, making impressive stops to prevent them from falling in lava. Chris would explain the next part with the finalists carrying their effigies over the lava stepping stones, with their their helpers at the ropes. The finalists begin jumping from stone to stone as Alejandro encourages the helpers to start cutting. Lashana quickly gets Katie gone by pointing away and acting shocked at seeing a matching set of pink dresses, leading to Katie running deep into the jungle and Heather being exacerbated by her stupidity. Heather tries to push through Owen to the ropes, but Owen doesn't budge as he announces himself as an impassable wall, but Heather kicks him in the nuts, making Owen shrivel up and note that she found a weak point while falling over. Lashana body checks Heather, asking if she wants a second missing tooth while jumping on top of her. As Alejandro gets the lead on Tyler, Tyler makes the comment "No way Jose," leading to Al freaking out about his brother Jose again, as Owen this time distracts Alejandro, surprised that he didn't like the name Al, repeatedly calling him it. Heather uses this moment of enjoyment from Lashana, pulling on her hair to get her out of the way, and cuts a rope. The rope she cut drops the cage on Tyler, but he is able to hold the Alejandro effigy above him to prevent the cage from trapping him and continues, but Alejandro does get a bit of a lead from this. I struggle finding an easy way to create the alternate endings here, as both finalists are very close to each other. I could just say Alejandro edges out Tyler, or Tyler barely makes it back, but those feel a bit boring. So since this is basically a rewrite of the finale, I decided to go with something a bit more interesting to me. Alejandro still keeps a small lead over Tyler and gets to the top first, but stops in his tracks. Tyler comes up behind shortly and sees what Alejandro stopped for, feral Ezekiel, between them and the volcano opening. When Ezekiel sees Tyler, he becomes enraged, remembering what he did on the train, and tackles him down, where Tyler holds the effigy in front of him and Ezekiel claws the pineapple facing. Alejandro begins walking towards the volcano opening, but Ezekiel quickly grabs his foot and starts wailing on the back of Alejandro's head, while Alejandro covers it, confused about why he's mad at him. Tyler takes a chance to try and run past them, but again Ezekiel stops him, grabbing the foot of the effigy and flinging Tyler backwards into them. At this point, the finalists realize that Ezekiel is stopping either of them from winning, so they make a temporary truce to take him down. They use their wooden effigies as hitting sticks, getting Ezekiel in the middle of them, while hitting him repeatedly into each other before they both hit him in the face with the wooden foot end of their effigies, knocking Ezekiel out. And this is where the alternate endings are made. In Alejandro's ending, Tyler sticks his fist out for a fist bump, but Alejandro swings his effigy upwards and around to hit Tyler harshly in the shin, making him trip over while Alejandro throws his effigy into the volcano. Alejandro celebrates as Chris announces him the winner and hands him the briefcase. Heather quickly jumps into a hug, wrapping her arms around his neck. Alejandro grins and says, "Let me guess, you're just hugging for the money and not me." Heather pulls away a bit and says it's both, while they kiss excessively, making the cast disgusted. Lindsay sits down next to Tyler on the ground and tells him she's still proud of him and leaves a kiss mark on his cheek. In Tyler's ending, Alejandro takes a fist bump, and Tyler keeps his fist closed while hitting Alejandro as hard as he can in the stomach. Alejandro is hunched over in pain. Tyler pushes him onto an ice cube and pushes it down the mountain, effectively taking Alejandro as well. Tyler throws his effigy into the volcano, and Chris announces him as the winner. Before Tyler can grab the briefcase, Lindsay runs into Tyler, hugging him while they stay on the ground. In both endings, the pineapple still causes the volcano to erupt, leading to the cast evacuating the volcano. I'm not really sure how you go about Alejandro in these endings, since only one of them he gets knocked down, so I guess in Tyler's ending he still gets put in the robot suit, while in his own ending he maybe doesn't. I'm not really sure, probably won't continue the story, so it doesn't matter anyway what the differences are between the two endings, so you can say in both endings Alejandro got in the robot suit, both endings he didn't, one ending he does, one ending he doesn't, it doesn't matter. And there you go, that is What If There Was No Required Singing. This What If took a while to get out. I am very sorry for the wait. There's been a lot of stuff that I've talked about, but I really did enjoy the ending to this What If. I might just be because I haven't wrote an ending to another What If in a while, but this one felt really satisfying. I think there was a lot of moving parts that I was worried about initially, but I think they came to a very nice conclusion. And I've talked about those other World Tour What Ifs where it's hard to be excited about them because Alejandro and Heather to me is one of the best finales I've ever seen, and I don't feel like any other finale we can get from this season matches that. And I still do agree, I don't think Tyler and Alejandro is better than Alejandro and Heather, but I do think it's really close. And even though that ending scene I had of them fighting off Ezekiel together was something I kind of threw in to create the alternate endings, I do really like the idea of these two people who work together for so much of the game, working together even again in the finale, even though they hate each other. Love Triangle stuff as usual got a bit iffy, but I do think here it was paced a bit better, and I think Courtney got a lot more to do with that. Plot in All Stars of Gwen feeling guilty about what she did in Courtney actually got to get like built up here, where Gwen realized in her elimination episode that she was kind of the villain in Courtney's story. So now, even though I probably would never continue this in the All Stars, but in All Stars it would make sense for Gwen to actually feel really bad about what she did with Courtney because she has that realization, whereas in the original it's just like she came in and for some reason she had an extremely differing opinion on it. And I get it that it's been like a couple years, but there was no build up to Gwen feeling bad about what she did to Courtney, so that's just one of the many issues in All Stars that I guess, would be fixed in this timeline because there's at least some build up to it. Also, speaking about Courtney, this is something that I realized while writing for this next part that I found was just a little bit of an interesting fun fact. Every single time Owen has been eliminated in this universe, Courtney has been responsible for it. He was eliminated 2 times in action. The first time was caused by her sole vote because everybody in her team voted for her when she wasn't eligible and she voted out Owen. The second time, she was the one who revealed to the cast that Owen was a mole and he got eliminated because of that. And in this What If, she was a swing vote that got him eliminated. So I just think that's kind of an interesting statistic that every time Owen has been eliminated, Courtney has been the cause of it. I also really enjoyed writing for Cody and Sierra. They're always really difficult to write for because Sierra is a lot. She's a very toxic partner, she's a very toxic friend, and it's really hard to find that balance of her realizing that she's being terrible without it feeling too like hammy or like out of place. Frankly, I think this What If has a good mix of that, where Sierra is like a very terrible person at points, eliminating people that trust her a lot, betraying people like Cody who have a lot of faith in her. So her redemption, albeit kind of quick, I think works in this universe where she was facing a lot of scrutiny because of it. I also don't think I've ever written any sort of What If where Cody has a backbone, so that was fun to develop, and I like that it happened for a cause of him being assigned in this group leader position. And even though all that Team Amazon drama at the beginning was a bit obnoxious, I do think it all had really solid payoffs. Alrighty, I think that is it. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the wait. More What Ifs will be coming out, and they won't take a quarter of a year, so bye.